in Pioneers. This is mjkk613.14. Pi through my eyes, the way I see it, the way I understand it. The closer we're getting to mainnet launch, the more talk there's been about pi value and how to set it. And the discussion, we're kind of back where we were 2 years ago, a year and a half ago. And there's a few schools of thought on how to set pi value. And there's two dollar values in pi. And one is, schools of thought are from the cryptocurrency exchanges, the way crypto operates now. That pi, that's how pi should operate and get its starting value. And then there's another thought that just put it out there, and pi, it will sort itself out, and pi will eventually come to a value on its own. And then the other school of thought is, because pi is a currency, that to start with, the community will set the value. And I think, in my own opinion, we're all looking at it kind of from different perspectives and different angles. I don't even know where to start. The way I understand how crypto works today and gets its value, which isn't value, it's price. It goes to the exchange, and the exchange gives it a listing price. That's trading for fiat currency. They have their formula that they put in, whatever numbers they put in, total supply, circulating supply, and what's out, what's not. There's numbers that they plug in, and it will kick out what that price is. And most projects, if not all of them, using that format, that model, the starting price is always well under $1. Pump and dump. That's how most cryptos start. It's a pump and dump. It's the way they're designed. It's the way cryptos operate. It has. Okay. And with doing it that way, the way Core designed pi, in my eyes, the way Core designed pi was to be a currency. And a currency doesn't get its value that way. Currency, you have to go back to a barter system to kind of understand currency and money. Okay? Now, the other school of thought is just put numbers out there and let the market take care of what's going to happen with pi. That's more of a barter system. Because eventually it will get to a point, they'll all get to a point of where they're supposed to be or need to be or should be. And the way I view just putting it out on the market, it'll probably start real low. And I don't know, you have to understand what a barter system is. And using the money, the currency that you're going to use as, the means of exchange, you can't really barter with it because it is the money. And if everybody is holding, because everybody will hold their pi value different. And to sort that out, you have to go through and haggle, pretty much, and come up with an agreed on amount of pi to give for whatever item you're going to give. And personally, I think pi is past that. Now, if that would have started a year and a half or almost 2 years ago when the in-app transfer pilot started and went that way, it would have sorted out. In this amount of time, it would have sorted out. Because it just would have. a barter system will naturally run its course of evolution, and it will get to a point to where it levels out and stabilizes. But you have to go through going that way. It's a long way around the barn, because first you start trading for goods, and that creates a value. Then when that doesn't work and you come up with something easier to carry and easier to use, you've already established a value on the items that you're trading for. So it's easy to establish an overall value of whatever you're going to use to buy that stuff. And it will run its course. It can't do anything but it takes a long time for it to run its course, from the way I understand it. So going that way, I don't think where pi is now is the right way to do that. The going off of the exchanges and going to the exchange first, the price will be low. I mean, the total supply, and see here's where that runs onto the exchange and whatever. Pi has pi supply will be huge. It'll be huge. Okay? It'll be in the trillions. Yeah, at least how I did it on my calculations and my math, just basic. I mean, it was just basic. It didn't take into a lot of factors to factor in. Yeah, I came up with close to 20 trillion. Should be pi's overall supply. But the way pi is designed, and I think because of the consensus it's using to run pi blockchain, in Stellar has certain things that, the way it's written, the way the protocol is written, certain things that it will do. It has to, because it's part of that protocol. And one of them is it pre-mints all of the coin ever for that project. Now, because Core has made some additions to the Stellar protocol to make it pi, I'm sure there will be, when it comes to the pre-minting, I'm sure there will be, I think there'll be a few different pools created for pi. Like the referral rewards, because for each referral we create a pool that we draw from. Okay? And that referral reward goes out to 100 million people. Then, now the mining reward, I'm not sure if that will be all pre-minted or it'll mint as it goes. I don't know. The way it reads, minting new coins daily means they're fresh coins. They're in the amount is in the protocol. I'm sure it is. Just like Bitcoin, but the number will be way up there. Okay? Because the way the Pioneer graph reads, mining will stop at 1 billion. But that's still to be determined. And everything up until that point is to be determined. Well, everything prior to that point was to be determined. Core has not, the way Core has written what we read, they have not gone back on. I think to be determined is a psychological thing. You know, to keep us motivated, keep us interested, keep us till we get to. I think that's my thought on to be determined. But they haven't done anything different all the way through. Now they did add an extra halving at mainnet, because the crypto, the space, there's a philosophy of thinking. Scarcity is what drives price, and I don't want to go there. Scarcity is for the way crypto trades. Yes, scarcity is probably needed, but most of the coins can be, how they trade on exchanges can be manipulated and influenced and all that other stuff. So it's an illusion. And it's cool, but that isn't a reality for pi, because the way Core has designed pi is we go out to 100 million spots in pi that pi has been allocated for. So, no matter what happens, I mean, we get to mainnet, and in mainnet, when core honors our accounts, any bad accounts or accounts that go unclaimed or accounts, whatever, they won't be here. So, say we're going into mainnet with 25 million people, and by the time core gets done honoring all legit accounts or whatever, we could lose 5 million people. We could lose 5 million spots. So we could be down when we actually go into mainnet. We could be down to 20 million, which leaves 80 million to reach the 100. So that will happen. I mean, I think in the way we're doing it now, when we invite somebody, because I think the invitation will continue. I mean, the way the system is set up now, I believe will continue until we get to 100 million people, 100 million pioneers. And I think the system will work how it works now. We invite somebody. They have to, I mean, before they can start mining, they'll have to go through the process, verify their phone, KYC, everything else, and be okayed and cleared before they join the network in the community. That would be the only way to keep things on the up and up. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't think core, well, part of that responsibility lays on us too. Okay? We should, because we can invite anybody we want as a referral. What we want is a security circle. We want our security circle to be built from people that we know personally and trust to build a security circle. I don't know, I mean, if I just put my invite out there and somebody picks it up and uses it, that isn't on the up and up, well, he's coming in under my invitation code. Doesn't mean he would be part of my security circle, but he would be part of my earning team. So I don't know, like from a security standpoint, I don't know how that would be just inviting anybody. I think with what Core has in place as far as securing the network from a protocol standpoint, I don't think they would be here long enough to do much damage, because the trust graph that we built is also part of network security. You know? And so that part I don't know. But I believe it will happen. Referrals will happen out to 100 million people. But when you start talking total supply and circulating supply, will change daily until we get to 100 million people. If mining rewards are minted daily, means mining supply will be added to daily as these coins get minted. So it's going to change total supply daily. And as people join the network, then the allocated pie for the two of us will come into the supply. So total supply will be changing constantly until we reach 1 billion people, because if mining continues, then each day that will increase total supply. So going off of total supply to get an exchange price when we start, how can they use total supply to calculate and speculate any numbers? Because it'll be continually changing. So that means their speculation will be continually changing. I know. I've been told that, Anyway, I'm going by what is written. Okay? I'm going by what Core has written in the white paper. Now, if we get to phase 3 and that's changed, then oops, I'm bad, I'm wrong. But Core wouldn't have written it the way they did to change it at the end. They don't work like that. They don't operate like that. Okay? So, going from an exchange price, okay, I have my own opinion on why these people want to keep it at that way. Because if they can get it to the exchange and get the exchange to do what it's going to do, and they've convinced people in the community that that's what it's going to do, and everybody's going to see that's what it's going to do, and it's going to start. If it goes to the exchange first, it's going to start for pennies, And people will dump their pie for pennies. And that's what they're waiting for. That's what they've done with every project that's come up. So, because if you ask them what they'll be doing opening day, if they tell you they're going to be selling their pie for pennies, I'd call them a liar. Because they're not. No. There are people that will be selling. I'm not arguing that. I mean, just because the way they think and believe that that's how it's going to be, they will sell. And whales may sell a big portion of their pie to recover some cash for the amount of time spent. They might be doing that. But knowing what's going on, they know what buying power value is going to be. So it's not a real smart move to sell for pennies when they can get dollars someplace else. And in my opinion, you're selling for pennies, you're giving your profit away to somebody else, is my opinion. Yeah. Because if you sell for pennies, they're going to buy for pennies, and they're waiting for it to go up so they can resell it back and make the money that you should have made. Yeah. The exchanges are part of. And what's missing in crypto is the currency side of any project. They call it cryptocurrency, and they can buy stuff with it and all. But if you take the U.S. economy, U.S. dollar, the dollar isn't influenced by the stock market. Now, they do kind of work together, but if the dollar crashes, the stock market goes down. If the stock market crashes, it doesn't necessarily mean the dollar's going to die or go down. Because the stock market is part of the overall U.S. economy, world economy, whatever. It's a part of. So, one way to look at it is, right, nobody really knows how many trillions of dollars are out. Whether it's in the computer or just a number in the computer or as physical money. They don't know because of the way they do their bookkeeping. They don't take everywhere the money is into their accounting. And so they don't know what circulating supply is. They may not even know what total supply is. Yeah. Because over all this time, for the last 8-10 years, they've probably minted, mined, whatever, dollars, paper dollars, trillions each, like 4 trillion every year. A set 4 trillion every year. And then the reserves could add another few billion or trillion into that. So they could be adding anywhere from 4 to 6, 8 trillion physical dollars into the economy every year. And, they talk about drug money and laundering and other things. The U.S. dollar is the biggest. It's used for everything. Drug dealers around the world have dollar bills stacked up in warehouses. They use the dollars to buy the guns and stuff that are funding all these wars, and the United States is probably behind part of it. That wouldn't surprise me either. Okay? So, to lay that on crypto, that crypto's going to do that. So, anyway, back to the dollar. Yes, now, the value of the dollar has gone down because they printed all this money. The more money they print, the less the dollar is worth. But everything around the world is still pegged to the dollar. It all follows, whatever the dollar does, the rest of the world's economies are doing it because everything is pegged to the dollar. Even cryptocurrency is pegged to the dollar. Okay? But where does the dollar get its value? Where does it, outside of whether they can't decrease supply, because if they decrease supply, they would shut all the banks out. They have to keep increasing it. Ponzi scheme. They have to keep increasing it until it crashes. But the value that it has, even though it's low, where does it come from? For starters, where does it come from? And why do we Why do we believe that a $5 bill is worth $5? Why do we believe a $100 bill is worth $100? It's not pegged. It hasn't been pegged to anything since the 70s. Now, prior to the 70s, yes, it was tradable. Like $1 was worth 1 ounce of gold, or whatever the conversion was. You could get that amount of gold for whatever physical money you had. You could go get gold or silver for it. When they detached gold and silver from the dollar, it became fake currency. So it has no intrinsic value. There is nothing holding that paper up. There's nothing behind holding that paper up. It's backed by the government. Okay? That's what that holds that up. But why do we believe that it is what it is? How did it start? How did it come about for us to believe that? Out of thin air. Yeah. Okay. Because of gold and silver, whatever things were tagged to it, whatever it was, we believed in the gold and silver. Then we trusted that the government was holding that gold and silver, and we just changed it from something heavy to carry to something easy to carry. And when they detached the dollar from the gold, yeah, everybody pretty much went with it. I mean, they may have grumbled a little bit, but everybody pretty much went with it. Well, if it's not attached to anything, how does it still hold that value? Because we believe it. We believe in the government to back it. We believe in being able to use it. We believe somebody is going to accept it. And with them accepting it, it's usable. That's what makes it usable. If somebody is willing to accept it for face value, and I'm willing to use it to buy something at face value, that's value. I mean, it's trading something easy to carry around, move, whatever, used to buy something I want, I need. They're willing to accept it. So, here's where I get, okay, pi is looking to be a currency. And there are economies that have started. They've been running about a year and a half. When the in-app transfer pilot started, there are transactions being made with pi. There are 300 people that were chosen as pilots that can actually use pi to buy tangible goods and services. And it's been happening. Now there's a lot of whatever going on with how the economy is set up, probably who's running the economies, what people think about the economy. There's just a lot of bad blood around it. Okay. So right now I think people that want the exchange listing are looking at it from a different perspective. Because they're looking at something to give them, to let them know, assure them that that's what it is. That's what that's going to be. When going that direction, the trading volume has to be going on the exchanges for that price to do whatever. Just like a stock. When you buy a stock, you watch the market and you watch what it's doing and go up and down, whatever, and you figure out when you're going to sell, buy, whatever you're going to do with it. The crypto exchanges are no different. The only difference is it doesn't have a currency, money, behind it. Because crypto is always trading for other money. Just like a stock. When you go to sell or buy, you're going to sell, you're putting that coin, you're putting a sell order in at whatever price. You give it to the broker, you put a sell order in. There's a buyer on the other side that has a buy order when it gets to that price. And when the two orders match, the coin gets sold and they put cash in on the other side. They get the coin, you get the cash. When you go to buy, You do the same thing, just in reverse. You put a buy order in at a certain price. Somebody's trying to sell on the other side. They have a sell order in on a certain price. And when the prices matches, the transaction happens. That's trading. That's how crypto works. Yes, I'm not saying that there aren't places that are accepting it for using it as a means of exchange and accepting it for goods and services. But the research I've done lately, yes, there are quite a few locations that are taking it. But the list of those locations changes daily. People that were taking it aren't taking it anymore. People that aren't taking it are taking it. And it changes daily. Because crypto is a hard form. It's hard to use as money. Because of the volatility in it. I mean, on any given day, there is no stability to price. And it's the way the market is. It's the way it operates. It's the way it has to. And like I said, this might be, I'm just watching what I'm seeing going on. Because if the crypto exchanges aren't volatile, if they're not volatile, there's no swings. And if there's no swings, nobody's making money. They can only make money on the swings. Take Bitcoin, for example. If Bitcoin stayed at 20,000 or 40,000, whatever it's at right now. Let's say, I'm going to say 20,000, just to pull the number out. If Bitcoin hit a spot and it just stayed at 20,000 and it didn't move from there, people would lose interest in it. Even though it's worth what it's worth, people would lose interest in it. Because they can't, any exchange, crypto exchange, stock exchange, is all a speculative market. I'm speculating, if I buy now, I'm speculating that somebody will pay me more for it in the future. Same as if, you buy low and you sell high. It's all a speculative market. And because of the excitement and the rush and the adrenaline that people get from trading crypto, because it is what it is, it will always be what it is. And it's cool. I'm not, do your thing. Knock yourself out. Do your thing. But that's crypto. To say it's a currency, I don't totally agree. Because it doesn't meet all the criteria of what a currency is supposed to be. It meets some of it, some of the time. Okay? And I don't want to get into that. That's a whole different issue. Okay? So, looking at it from the exchange, going that direction, for one, where Pi value is, even though it's unofficial, I know it's unofficial. Anything going on in Pi right now, because it didn't come from Core or the app, is unofficial. But when you have pilots from Pi that have the availability to trade Pi that came from Core Team, it's happening. Whether it's official or not, it's happening. I think because the pilot went the way it went, and because people that have started the economies did it as a third-party app. Well, Pi wasn't ready for a third-party app. I mean, they weren't ready. I mean, they weren't ready to build the third-party apps. So, to keep the economies that these guys started, ladies and gentlemen started, they grew and expanded on their own to keep the economies going, to keep the economies growing, to keep them what the pilots were set out to do, to keep it doing. So to say it's not happening and the transactions are behind it, whatever, to say it's not happening, you can't, because it is. And from what I know of the economies that have started, yeah, you can go in and see their books. All their transactions are transparent. They're all it's all on the up and up. So economies have started, but they're too small for one. They're too small to accommodate 25 million people. I mean, we're only talking like 2, 3, 4, 5 little economies that will become part of Pi's bigger economy. But if they're already using pi at X value, and I know there's disagreement on the high end of pi value. I know, big disagreement. But that disagreement is also coming from people that want to keep it low. Because I don't think people who are looking at it from the exchange are looking at pi first. I don't think so. My opinion. Because if they were looking at from pi and what pi is and the size of the community and the amount of coin and how it's all being distributed or will be distributed, they're not looking at people on the back end or on the back end coming in. Because pioneers coming in now, even though the earning rate is what it is, or when they come into pi, I mean, I think I did the graph on it, and it's like 4 pi a day, I think, is what, just basic, is what we can earn individually. It's about 4.5 pi, I think. So they're only getting 4 pi a day. And if we go exchange-wise, an exchange lists pi for 25 cents or 50 cents, how much pi is it going to take at 50 cents to buy anything? Well, if you're only getting 4 pi a day, one transaction is going to wipe that person out. They're not going to be able to use it. They're not going to, if I go to, and they may not even be able to buy anything. Well, if I can't buy anything with it, or if I get my stack wiped out on one transaction, I'm not going to use it. I'm not going to want to use it. Well, because of the way pi is designed, earlier pioneers got to mine more, earn more, and pi halves on the pioneer count, not on the block count. So as each plateau is reached, the earning rate is reduced. Well, we have 25 million people in pi right now, and it halves on the 10, starting at 1,000. Well, if we're 25 million people, pretty much anybody that got here 1 million or before, 10 million or before, is still in the minority, because people coming in now are the majority. And the majority of pioneers hold the least amount of pi, but as a whole, hold the majority of pi. And to go through the exchange, and we're going to go through the exchange, and then we're going to build up from the exchange, and we're going to do all that. Personally, if you cut out the majority of the community that can't use what they have, then you have no economy. Most of them will probably leave. We've always had a big drop in pioneers once they get here and it's not doing what they expected or living up to their expectation. People become inactive. And we've had a lot. I mean, you can listen to anybody that's been here a while that has X amount on an earning team that, back then, from then till now, most of them are down to like 20%. That means they lost like 80% of what they had. Most. I'm not saying all, but most. So, and that's without even being able to use pi. Just knowing that we will be able to. Well, when we have the opportunity to use it, and you can't use it, who's going to stay? Because they don't have enough pi to do anything with. And I've never said pi won't list on exchanges. I've never said pi doesn't need to trade on exchanges. I just have said that's not where pi should start. Because I don't know when mainnet launches what things are going to do. I really don't. I'm hoping and guessing and going by what I pick up in here and stuff. Pi's goal is not to be, its initial goal is not to trade on the exchange and live on the exchange and get anything from the exchange. I'm not saying it's not needed and whatever. That's not Core's goal or Pi's goal. Not their main goal. Their main goal is to be the most inclusive, reachable currency for everybody around the world. Because when you start looking at the exchange, people are looking at what Bitcoin did and what these others have done. They started at pennies and shot up to thousands of dollars. Made overnight millionaires. Okay? That's what they're looking for in Pi. And Pi is not designed that way. Really not. It's not, because that's not Pi's goal. If that were Pi's goal, Pi would already have launched. It's easy to build a coin like that. You can probably build one in about 20 minutes or 30 minutes if you know what you're doing. It's not hard. To build something different and new and whatever, yeah, that's why Pi is where it is. And to think that mentality, not thinking about the community, thinking about lining their pockets to get rich. And, you know, another big thing that I get is investors. The people off the exchanges are investors. Got to have investors. Got to have, you know, got to bring in Elon Musk. You got to bring in all this big money. You got to have investors. You got to have investors. Where, my opinion, no, Pi doesn't need those investors. Doesn't want those investors. If an investor wants to get involved in Pi, he's got to join Pi just like everybody else and become a pioneer. That's the only way you can earn Pi. It's the only way you can get Pi. Okay. Now, once it's live, I know part of it, but I don't know, because Core, with the amount of Pi that Core has and has control of and whatever, yeah, they can do, a lot will depend on what they do. If Core decides to put Pi out on the open market into the exchange, then it'll be there. But if Core does not decide to put Pi onto the exchange, or give the exchanges any Pi to play with or work with or whatever, there is no Pi on the open market. Pi, us pioneers, are the only holders of Pi when we go live. There is no, even as much as they want to trade Pi, unless we decide to sell, there is no trading going on the exchange. Even if the exchange, there is no trading unless we decide to sell. There's no Pi. And I don't know, I've heard that Core might possibly put a limitation on when you can sell Pi. You may have to have X amount of Pi before you can even put it on the exchange. Yeah, I've heard that. And because if you have 2 Pi, you go to the exchange and you sell it for 50 cents, well, you got $1, it's probably going to cost you $1 in fees just to exchange it. So, rushing out to get dollar, that's not what Pi is looking to be the currency. So, if you look at it from everybody in the community being able to use 1 Pi. Last group of pioneers coming in, 1 Pi. Minimum starting value of Pi is $10. I mean, my opinion, this is my video, my opinion, lowest starting value for Pi is $10. And it's low. And it'll be questionable if millions of people will still be able to use their Pi at $10. Because it's the amount of Pi needed to buy what somebody's offering. And, you know, I hear they want assurances and they want to be able to make sure they can recover what they're offering. You know, if somebody's deciding to offer something for Pi, they want assurances that they'll be able to recover their income. Well, personally, if you're that worried about making a profit that quick off of Pi, don't put your products out on Pi yet. Don't put your products out on Pi until you're secure enough and comfortable enough to offer your products for Pi. Yeah, you don't. Yes, Pi needs as many people offering as much as they can to accommodate 25 million people. But if you are that uncomfortable or that afraid or the risk is too high for you, Pi's not asking you to put your stuff out there. Yeah. So don't put your stuff out there. But don't drag the program down because you're insecure about it and want securities from something that, okay? There is, at this point in time, because pi is just getting started, if that's what you need to be able to trade, or to get, okay, then don't take the risk. It's no different. It's no different than starting up a new business outside of pi. If you're starting up a new business outside of pi, you have whatever operating capital you have, and if you're afraid of losing that operating capital, you won't open your shop. Pi is. Why would pi be any different? There's no guarantees that any new business coming out is going to make it. None. So the difference between starting a business outside of pi is you're already coming into a world that's already made itself. Yes, there is place for innovation and improvement and whatever. There are a lot of people getting rich and whatever. Pi is brand new platform, brand new, in at the ground level, nothing. So whoever is building brand, whoever is building customer base, whoever is building today and is taking the risk, will be the ones that are the wealthy of the future in pi. It happens. I mean, it happens. It has happened in every country around the world. Okay? That's how Rockefellers and Rothschilds and all those big name guys. At the time they came into their own, is the time we're standing in right now with pi. They were willing to risk, took the chances, did what they needed to do, and became the men they were. Yeah. And there were women in it also, but they became the men they were. Now, how they all got there may not have been on the best, but they all made their own way. But they were in a place and time that we are with pi right now, and the ones that are willing to risk can see the future. You have to see the future because they know where pi is. It's just starting out. It's just getting going. So it's going to be a slow. I don't think it's going to be as slow as what some think, but when the in-app transfer pilot started, that was slow. That was more scary then than it is now. Okay? They've already been up and running for a year and a half, or close to 2 years. Their economies are going. No matter what flack they're getting from the outside, they have economies going. They're trading pi. They're using pi the way it's meant to be. Okay? And I'm not just talking about one that everybody's jumping on right now, but the one that everybody's jumping on right now, whether they believe it or not, or whatever they think, they are doing what pi needs. They are risking their own for what pi needs, because they know what the reward is at the end. Yeah. If you're, and I know a lot of those people, and the way they approach business inside of pi and outside of pi is different than somebody that's afraid to risk right now, or looking for assurances to make sure they don't lose money. People that have set up shop in TPL, it is in TPL, also no business. Shop, not all of them, I'm not saying all of them, but a lot of them that are supplying tangible goods that they're buying. They have a positive cash flow on the outside to cover their business on the inside. So they have the time that it's going to take to get pi rolling. And all TPL has done is they've cut to the chase and took out all of the stuff that should have happened before to get to this point. They just got to this point right off the bat. Well, they started at 10 and realized quickly that 10 was borderline for people to be able to use their pi consistently. So they upped it to $100. And yes, it's taken a little learning curve and whatever it is to get mentality. It's not cash value, it's buying power. You can buy stuff with it because there is no exchange trading price yet. And that's where I think whatever is going on with the two schools of thought, or the two ways, directions pi should go. I don't know. I really don't know. And I don't want to, I've been bad mouthing people a long time, or whatever it is. I just don't. I don't know if they really see pi, understand pi. They understand where pi's at, understand groundbreaking. Okay? Because if you look at any big names, Woolworths, Pennies, Sears, okay, all of those companies, Woolworths, Kmart, all that, they all got started at that same time. I mean, if you go back in history and you look at the soda shops and whatever it was Woolworths and it was Pennies and it was whatever. Because they were in at this time and grew their business over time and became who they are. Yeah, that's how they did it. They were in the right place, right time, and could see out far enough. That's all it is. So, getting back to setting value for pi. For a value to be good or to be solid, okay, to start is the people, us. And it comes down to the people willing to sell goods in pi. Now, services is a different deal. If the people providing services understand where pi is and what it is, they will be whatever they think the value needs to be. That's what they'll be charging. That's where they'll set the price or the value for pi for their services. If they're setting their price over that value, then I don't think they have pi's best interest in mind. Or if they're setting it lower, and see, I would see lower would be more of an issue, because the lower their price or value is, the more pi you're having to give for it. And then when pi does increase in value, they have more pi, they're going to get more profit through that. Okay? So, watching who's doing what is you have to be real careful. But if somebody is willing to accept pi for, and I'm going to put out for whatever value, if set at $10 or $20 or $100 or whatever it is, if they've set their goods at that price, and now instead of having to give 2 pi, 20 pi, 40 pi for that same deal, now we're giving 0.2 pi for that same deal. Well, if you only have 4 pi and you're giving 0.2 pi for something, you still have a stack of pi to use. You'll be willing to use it. You'll want to use it. That's where, if pi is going to succeed, everybody in the community has to want to use their pi. Has to want to use it. If you want to use it, you will use it. That's where pi needs to be. Just that want to use. So you have to have enough pi to be able to want to use. The price has to be high enough to be able to get to that point. Now, there are other people that have pi. I mean, I saw one like $2,000. It's unrealistic for this project, because you start getting into that range, it becomes unreachable. If pi becomes unreachable, okay, it makes it hard to use. It makes it hard to, pi has to be reachable, and we are just starting out. I don't think to start with, just to get things going and get things leveled out with, 100 is a good price in my opinion. And also you have to keep in mind, once pi is out on the market and it's being traded and it's being used and it's doing whatever, and it finally gets to the exchange, okay, if we don't sell pi until, say the whole community put their sell order in at $100, it won't trade until somebody on the other side puts a buy order in for $100. And the first buy order that goes in for $100, that's exchange value. That's exchange price. When you have a matching exchange price and community value, then you have true value for the currency. And also what people aren't taking into consideration is pi is built to be stable. That's why the supply is as big as it is. That no one influencer can influence the value of the price of pi. No whale can go for a swim. I mean, and it's going to take the more transactions that we're doing, I mean, if everybody in the community did one transaction, that's 25 million transactions. No, actually it's 50 million transactions because it'd be one coming in both directions. If you're making 50 million transactions a day, all the same price or whatever value it is, that is value. That will be stable. Now, taking into account that pi will be stable, pi may not be interesting to these investors because they're going to come in and look at a cryptocurrency and they're going, it's not doing nothing. I mean, very little fluctuation in price and value. Even if it's trading on the exchanges, there will be very little, there should be, I'm not going to say there will be, there should be very little movement in pi, except on the overall long scale. It should have an upward trend because the more people come in, the more pi is being used, the more seen, the more trusted, the more starting out, yeah, it may be a little rocky, a little rough. But the longer you go out, the farther you go out, the smoother it becomes. With this many people moving that many, making that many transactions, it becomes, pi is the product we're looking to sell to the outside, in my opinion. Because if we can prove that pi is stable, usable, trustable, and at a value that makes sense, people that are already accepting crypto now will have no problem accepting pi. And people that aren't accepting crypto now, going and give them a sales pitch on pi, will be willing to accept pi. And I don't see it taking 5-10 years. I mean, I can see over the next, I would say over the next 18 months, 2 years. Yeah. Pi will become a household name. Yeah. That's how I see it. And I know I get flack and everything else, but you know, it comes down to trusting each other, trusting us, okay? And I know, and the people that are supplying goods know, yes, they need to recover some fake currency to put back what they put out to supply the community. But see, if we don't, as a community, if we don't hold our position, see, kind of where I look at exchanges and crypto today and pi is anything that happens out there is dictated by somebody like on an exchange or somebody that a influencer in the project or a whale in the project or whatever is controlling what's happening with these coins. If we hold our ground as a community, there is no way that pi can be influenced by anybody because of the way it's designed. There's no points of concentration of the currency itself or the nodes. Blockchain is already, the ledger is already distributed. That's whatever value we set for pi, part of what I explained there is what supports whatever value. We don't have to have, yes, I believe there will be liquidity in pi, but it won't come from the outside. It will come from the inside. And the reason you need liquidity is if something goes bad on the exchange. The exchanges need to cover the coin that's out on the market. If pi is a currency being used, there's no reason for liquidity because it's not trading for other money. Pi is the money. That's okay. So there's a lot of different thinkings between what's current today and what pi is. And if we hold our ground, then what we've given up or given away to or has been taken away from, we start to gain back. Yes, because what crypto was designed to do was to be a totally decentralized everything, governed by the community. Pi can achieve those if we help it. And there are a lot of people that don't want that to happen, I'm sure. Because I don't know why, but there are people that would rather be told what to do than stand up and do it on their own. There's a lot of people. And I'm not saying that we're not a part of the world or the economy, what's going on in the world. Yes. But when it comes to Pi and us, we're taking back what we do with our finances. We will, if Pi achieves its goal and does what a lot of us think it should and will do, sit back, count up all of the fees that you give to whoever for whatever, credit cards, banks, grocery store, when you buy clothes, anything, cars, whatever. Think about all of the money that you pay out to somebody else for taxes and whatever it is. All of the nickel and dime stuff that we've just become accustomed to. Add it up one day. Pi reaching its goal, all that nickel and dime stuff goes away. And then you have the choice whether you want to go into that system. And as soon as you sell Pi for fate, then you're going to start giving money away. Yeah. Because once it turns into fate, it falls under that system. And it's money out of our pocket, your pocket, my pocket. Trading inside of Pi, buying what we need and want, and being able to buy what we need and want, keeps more of that money inside, more of that money in our pocket. Yeah. Pi is bigger than a lot of people think. See? That's the power of Pi. That's what Pi is working to achieve. That's what Bitcoin should have achieved when it launched. So Pi is just taking the next step in the evolution of cryptocurrency. That's what it is. So I know I ran over again, but it comes down to what we believe and what we trust. If you believe in the exchange and you trust in the exchange and you trust in the system that we're in now, hopefully, that Pi community has gotten big enough and strong enough to ride that out. I hope. I don't know where we're at right now. Some days my confidence backs, other days it's not. So it's going to be a coin flip depending on how things launch and how Pi or how Core launches Pi will determine a lot of Pi's future. But with like I say, Core's delivered on their end of the deal. Now it's time for us to deliver on ours, because the protocol's there. They're working on building the app to be able to use Pi, and they got the dApps going on, and they're building the dApps for places for us to use Pi. And we need a lot, because there's 25 million people. So we need a lot of places, a lot of locations to just handle the volume of people. And as a business owner, well, yeah, I hope I got the right product for those people want. And I have no problem. You have to come back, a few days when I get another shipment in. Man, if people are running my location out of inventory, I'd be tickled pink. That means I sold every ounce of merchandise I've had and I've provided, I've sold out. And granted, I can't exchange Pi for it, but at that point I don't really need to worry about exchanging Pi for it, because I have places that I can go use Pi to get what I want and need, then I don't have to buy on the outside. So in that respect, all I've done is change how the money flows. It's not a big deal. So it comes down to us, and it's no different than using the dollar bill today. We know that somebody's going to accept it. We know that it's going to be accepted for face value of that bill or credit card or whatever you use. Somebody is going to accept it at that value, and we're going to get what we believe is fair exchange. I give you $10 bill, I'm going to get $10 worth of gas. Even though the amount of gas may be different, but I know I'm going to get $10 worth of gas. When I turn the pump on, it's going to stop at 10. Yeah. I believe it. He's accepted it. I accept it. I believe it and trust it. That's what it does. That's what Pi needs to be. That's how we need to think about pie. Okay? It's not about rushing to the exchange and doing whatever it is. It's about using it between us. The more we are exchanging pie, the more times pie changes hands, that's what makes the economy strong. And that's what continues to make it stronger. The more people we get, the stronger it gets. The more DApps and whatever, the improvements to pie as a whole, because everything is going to expand and grow together. So if we're growing and expanding, the app is going to grow and expand. There's going to be more features, more whatever, as we go. The more it gets, the stronger pie becomes. And it's just, that doesn't come from trading on the exchange. It doesn't. It comes from the people. It comes from believing in what we're in. That's what the power of pie. I don't know what else to say, but and I'll be the first to admit. I will. I'll say straight up. I've had over the last month or so, I've had some concerns. I've had issues with, and some things I wasn't real happy about, but I've never given up on the project. They've gotten a little down about it because things. But I know. I think where I start having issues, where my head gets messed up, is people not seeing what is, or what can be, or what pie, or what, okay, and just view it, and sometimes it drives me a little sporty. But it's about believing in what we're in, believing in, okay. And one more thing, as a pioneer, going to use pie. I don't have to worry about what the store owner, shopkeeper, whatever it is. I don't have to worry about what he's supplying. I don't have to worry about how he's going to recover his cost, because one, he's already done it. He's already figured it out for himself. He's already come up with his business plan, his model, and whatever it is. He already knows that. What he doesn't know, and what he's hoping on, expecting, is for me to come in and use my pie in his shop. That's all he's asking for, man. That's all he's asking. Come in and spend your pie in my shop. Buy my goods. Because the more people are buying goods, it's putting more pie in his till. That's what, as far as the guys, that's what if they got pie coming into their till, they've already offset their fate currency. Because if they have pie in their till and pie is growing and pie has more options, more places that he can use his pie or she can use her pie, then they don't have to worry about fate. Even though they need fate to replace their product, they're not using the fate that they're using to pay for other stuff. They're using pie to pay for that stuff, which is accumulating fate to pay for the other stuff. Okay. So in reality, in all reality, pie really doesn't need to go to the exchange, because it's a self-contained ecosystem with its own economy, fueled by its own currency. Now, don't take me wrong. There is a need, because we are in today's world, and that's how things function. So there will be instances, times where we need fate currency, all of our lives. Well, yes, looking at, I need it occasionally. I have no problem trading occasionally. None. Because my income is set here. I mean, we get pie every day. Even though it'll be a little bit, we get a little bit of pie every day. So there's nothing wrong with turning around and selling some pie. And there will be people that is their life. They will trade pie on the exchange. Okay? But that's no different than the stock market. You have the economy going on around them, and they're trading on the exchange and they're happy. Okay? But they may not be happy when the exchange doesn't move. You know, I see pi from a stock perspective, or from a stock perspective and overall company perspective, is one of those long-term companies. Like, if you want to buy, you already have pi, so there's no reason to buy pi, to accumulate pi, to build wealth. We already have it. Okay. But to accumulate a little more, if you want a little more, buy some. You can sell some. But it's not the mentality of that's where it has to be. That's the only difference. The mentality is, if I can buy what I want and need in here, I don't need to go out there. I mean, that's the mindset of the mind shift. And when you start seeing it that way, at least for me, even though I'm hearing a lot of the, well, crypto doesn't work that, you got to do this, and it's got to do this, it's crypto, it's got to do this, it's got to do that, and it's got to be, okay. It's not, I'm sure it does. I'm not, okay. But I don't have to worry about that. I don't have to worry about what the coins are, I don't have to worry about what happens on that end. There needs to happen on that end. That's Core's job. Core's job is to make sure everything stays legal and up and doing whatever. I don't need to know what it needs to do, why it needs to do that, okay? All I need to know is how to use it, where to use it, and protect it. That's all I need to know. That's all we know. It's not all we know about currency today. Why would pi be any different? That's what pi's goal is. So, anyway, I know I've rambled too long and I've talked too much, and that's me, guys. All right, later.